Hey guys, I've been collecting images of this symbol for a long time now. If you've been watching me for years, you've probably heard me talk about this symbol before. It is ancient. It goes back 12,000 years. I will show you the images. It goes back pre-Sumerian, 6,000 years, and it's all over the planet. The symbol repeats itself in reliefs and carvings all over. We're talking about Asia, South America, North America, all over the Middle East, even in Africa. This is the handbag symbol. You may have heard Graham Hancock talk about it, but to be fair, I talked about it a whole year before he did. If you've been watching my channel, you know this. This symbol is typically portrayed in the hands of a god. Sometimes the god is gesturing towards a human or a ruler, a king on earth. These gods are present on this earth and typically depicted taller than the humans they're interacting with. Sometimes they're using this bag to fertilize a tree, the tree of life. Sometimes they're using this bag to hold seeds for planting. So it seems to have something to do with agriculture. But I believe this symbol is hinting at something, hinting at a transfer of knowledge from the pre-flood world to the post-flood world. And I believe I know what was in this bag, and I don't think it was seeds, not the seeds that you're thinking of, not, corn and barley. I think these were seeds for civilization. They were pieces of knowledge, and I will show you some of these many symbols that I've collected over the last couple of years. This picture on the screen right now is an obvious symbol for the handbag. It is used as a doorway in a megalithic structure. I believe this is near Malta in the Mediterranean. They literally used the handbag as a doorway into their fortification or into their temple or whatever the structure was whenever it was active. The handbag is such an important symbol that it is the gate through which you travel. This is important. And what is in this bag is even more important. And it's very mysterious. I like this symbol. So here we see it in the hands of a person fertilizing a tree that looks like it's actually corn. So perhaps this person is harvesting kernels to plant. But this is from the Middle East as well, very old. The handbag symbol. Here we see it in the hands of a fishman. This particular being, Oannes, is the equivalent of Dagon, a half fish, half human deity that bestows knowledge. Here we see it in the hands of this is Sumerian, it's a cylinder sill, and he seems to be a warrior that's holding a flaming sword. The flaming sword, as you know, is a symbol for Eden or paradise and the guarding of that paradise. So perhaps this person is guarding this bag full of knowledge, full of civilization seeds. Here's a pre-Sumerian etching. As you can tell, the person holding the bag is twice the size of the human that he is handing this bag off to. This puts him probably around 10 feet tall. So we have a little bit of Nephilim energy here, a little bit of Anunnaki or frost giant energy going on here. And the eyes, look at the eyes, they're massive. Here we see it on a Syrian relief. And the beings that are holding the bag, in this case, they're on both sides of the tree of life, and they have wings like angels. Sometimes they have the face of a man, sometimes they have the face of a bird, like a avian type creature. Most people call it angelic or godly. We have the Chola dynasty, not Cholo dynasty, that's a different dynasty that has just barely started. The Chola dynasty in India, we see it hanging from a tree once again, possibly the tree of life. This is Lord Vishnu. Once again, we see it in Assyria with cuneiform all over it, and the bird-headed god, in this case, with wings. This is Illyrian civilization. These are 3 sages. They're supposed to have brought knowledge to the culture of Illyria. You can see the swastika present there. This is about 3,000 years old, give or take. Holding the handbag yet again, as sages who are supposed to be giving information. It's an interesting symbol, and you can see something in the hand that's not the person holding the bag, but the person next to him. He has something in his hand, and that is a poppy. So perhaps this handbag is full of poppy seeds. Poppies are often portrayed all over Akkadian, Sumerian, Assyrian, Babylonian relief carvings. The poppy is very important. Ishtar is holding them. Gilgamesh is holding them. Here we have South America, the Toltec people. You see a whole line of these guys holding handbags. Here we see in Sparta, Greece. Yet again, it is a winged humanoid holding this bag. Perhaps a god, perhaps an angel. If you look closely, though, you'll see the swastika yet again, which means eternal life, or the sun, or the rebirth of the sun, or rebirth. I mean, the swastika has meant a lot of things. Here's a close-up of those handbags. Here we see it on another Sumerian carving. Here we have Sumba, Indonesia. I have a little bit of information at the end of the video about this particular pillar, but it's important that it is carved onto a pillar. The men at the bottom seem to be harvesting wheat, and there are birds at the top. And at the very top, you have a deified bird. It represents either the peacock, the rooster, the phoenix, or I'll have more information at the end of the video about this particular site in Indonesia and what it is. But you see the handbag right there. Looks like a pan flute next to him, and either a harp or an abacus, possibly. This particular statue, this pillar, is very important. I've been spending a lot of time over the last couple hours researching into it. Here we go. We see the bird, men, angel type. Well, I guess they don't have the heads of the bird. They have the heads of a man, but this time holding the handbags as they are putting a pine cone to the back of a human's head. Perhaps this symbolizes the pineal gland, the fertilization of a mind, or the bestowing of knowledge, but they're standing around the tree of life. Here we go, another handbag. This time it looks like it's some kind of woven basket, almost, but with a metal handle. They are always holding this damn bag. Here you see it all over the world. This is just a string grab of all the different, a set number of times I've called it. Like I said, it's everywhere from Asia to Europe, the Middle East, Africa, North America, and South America. Here we see 2 different rulers, because those horned hats they're wearing are actually crowns. It's where the Pope gets his headdress from, as a matter of fact. They're standing on the back of 2 sphinxes. The number of horns they have on their hat, people speculate, shows the level of divinity that they are, their status in the pantheon. but standing around the tree of life, yet again, with the pine cones. Perhaps this is a way to fertilize a particular crop, but that is unlike any tree that I know of. It looks more like a Kabbalistic tree of life. And another image, a Syrian, yet again. You can see he has almost a rich wristwatch type thing on his wrist, on both wrists actually, with a very intricate circular symbol, mandala-like object on the middle. People say it looks like a watch. I don't know. I think it's probably just decorative. But perhaps it's not. Perhaps it's teleportation or communication. Who knows? We have smartwatches. These are all the Toltec statues lined up yet again. You can see the very stylized phoenix bird on their chest. That's important. Birds are very important in this topic, I believe. And they dug up a whole shit ton of these stone bags carved out of stone, representing the handbag. Some of them are woven. Some of them have images on them, and I'll have some close-ups here in a little bit. They're very detailed, and they're all dug out of the ground. Most of these are from Iran, from Persia. Why would you waste all this time carving these fucking bags? I mean, they're not actual bags. There's representations of bags, and they're too delicate to be used as something like an anchor or a weight. And they're not uniform, so they don't represent like a standard weights and measures for like produce or gold or silver or whatever you need the weight for to put on the scale. So it's not that. But they spend the time carving it out of fucking stone and detailing it and making it a work of art. This handbag fucking means something. Here we see dual lines. Below that, you see a man, a wild man. He has the legs of a goat, holding two serpents with two lions next to him. So we have the two Kundalini serpents, whatever that is. You see in the very middle image, you see the three different trees, like possibly the tree of life, yet again. Below that, you see an eagle, yet another bird, but this time holding two serpents. This is total Kundalini shit if I ever saw it. So these are symbols of energy, life, Tantra, the chakra system, perhaps a deep spiritual knowledge is hidden within these bags. The 8-pointed star, which is the star of Ishtar. Lord knows what this shit means. The one in the top middle actually looks like it has DNA on it. A double helix. Or if not that, maybe it's just decorative. Or maybe it's a representation of curved time space. Who fucking knows? I don't know. Here's a close-up. This is actually different than the other one. Yes, it is. Wow. You have another man with goat legs, probably Enkidu, holding two lions by their tails, and two scorpions on either side. The reason I think this is Enkidu is because it's around the right area, and Enkidu had the legs of a goat or a satyr, like Pan did. Here we see another handbag, but it has a very intricate carving on it. You see the two-headed eagle, which typically means past and future, being able to look backwards at a great distance and forward at a great distance, because eagles can see at a great distance. You see these, I believe, kings coming to visit another warrior king who is very powerful because he has slaves. And the kings that are coming to visit him are walking on, or riding on the back of tigers, or lions rather, and bringing perhaps gifts. But the two kings in the middle are holding up flowers for each other, and those flowers are poppies. You can tell that the man with the spear is probably Sumerian based on the headdress, but standing on the backs of human slaves, as opposed to the other one who are standing on the backs of animals. The two-headed eagle, and up here we have somebody riding a Pegasus with a spear, attacking a lion, stabbing down at the lion with a spear. That could be a mythological creature, not a lion, because I think that's a snake for its tail. I just now noticed that. So this could be a mythological beast. I don't know, something interesting. But the poppy I found fascinating. The poppy will appear over and over again. And eagles and lions, for whatever reason. Giraffe, Iran is where all those handbags carved out of stone are found. This is another, I think this is a repeat image. Another repeat image. Trilla Dynasty, another repeat image. Assyria. This is Sumeria, another cylinder seal. And in case you don't know, cylinder seals are used to roll on clay, kind of like a stamp of approval, like a wax seal that someone in the Middle Ages would use. This is essentially the same thing. This is for contracts or whatever you need to put in clay. You'd roll your cylinder seal across it to basically sign your name. And a lot of times they portrayed things from mythology. Lord knows what the fuck this means. It's a god holding the bag. Looks like a mortal. No, this could be Ishtar, because Ishtar is always covered in weapons. But it doesn't look like a female. But it could be, based on the 8-pointed stars. Could be Ishtar. I don't know. I have fucking no clue. Another Assyrian guy holding a fucking bag. This is Göbekli Tepe, the oldest site in the world. This is in modern day Turkey. This is an Anatolian site that goes back about to the very beginning of our current climate cycle. This is at the end of the flood. This is right after the fucking flood. They built this temple and they put the fucking handbag symbol at the top of pillar 33, or 23 rather. This is an Olmec representation of their deity. Who knows what he was called? He's been called a lot of things. Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, coming across the ocean on a dragon, carrying the fucking handbag. This could be a fucking ship. This could be a aircraft. It could be a fucking spaceship. I don't fucking know. But he's carrying that fucking handbag. Another representation from South America. This guy's coming with a handbag as well, and he has wings on the back of him, just like you see in Assyria. And the wings actually have 2 eagle heads as well. So you have the double-headed eagle as well. This is one of the carved stones. This is another one of the carved stone false handbags. It has, I mean, I'm pretty sure these are some type of domesticated cow or ox, but they look like they have unicorn horns, so they could be a mythological beast as well. But you have the wheat coming up behind them, and I noticed that there's 2 holes in the bottom of this particular carving. Maybe for a stand? I don't know. The bag is solid, so I don't know what this would be used for. No one else on earth knows what they'd be used for either. Once again, you have the tree of life, maybe date palms. And the one above that has date palms on it as well, the jar. This is a older handbag symbol, I believe. This is found in Europe. This is found in fucking France. And it looks to be about 9,000 years old based on the level at which they found it. These are, this is just a random scene from a museum. I watch a lot of a lot of videos about there are ancient past and ancient religions, and because of that, I see a lot of footage from the inside of museums that aren't commonly visited or shown in media. And these are just two handbags that they dug up in South America. They have no fucking idea what they mean. They're just sitting there on display. But I was like, oh God, screenshot. Once again, you have the 8-pointed star handbag. This repeats itself. It looks like it has almost an eyeball type symbol. This could be Saturn seen from a distance, because it looked like it was a head with ears. They would call it, the wings of Saturn. Another image of it. Here we see another eagle holding 2 serpents. This is the second time we've seen this exact same symbol. A stone faux representation of a handbag with an eagle in the center holding a snake in each one of its talons. Very Kundalini, very in Norse mythology, as well as a couple other mythologies, oddly. At the top of the tree of life, you have a bird that lives. At the bottom of the tree of life, in the roots, you have a snake that lives. So one represents the as above, and the other one represents the so below. This could represent the Kundalini serpents. It could represent the tree of life. It could represent, fuck, who knows, man? Who fucking knows? And once again, you have the Beastmaster, which anytime you see a man, or in this case Enkidu, holding 2 lions by the tail, or holding a lion like a house cat, they're typically referred to as the Beastmaster, because they have the ability to domesticate not just wild animals, but the most fearsome of wild animals, like big predatory alpha cats. Here's a picture of Enkidu, just so you know what he looks like a little bit better. Like I said, he has goat legs, the legs of Pan, Saturn's legs. Gilgamesh is holding a horn and holding a house cat, like a Beastmaster. Not a house cat, excuse me. That's a male lion. In case you weren't looking close enough, that's a male lion. I swear, this almost, Enkidu himself looks an awful lot like our modern representation of Satan. But I think it hints to some kind of genetic altering in our past. The making of hybrid species, chimeras. Here we see a close-up of, this is actually, it's either Roman or Greek, I forget, I think Roman. But he's holding a handbag. He has an egg that he is putting on top of a pillar, or perhaps taking off of a pillar. There is a bird. It actually looks like it has a pharaonic headdress, and a dog above him. And then on the ground, a sphinx. So you see the sphinx yet again. But the egg on a pillar with the handbag is extremely important. Here we see the winged god from South America yet again, holding a handbag. This is some fucking crazy little figurine. It looks like the person has like almost a rocket or something on its fucking head. It's a crazy headdress, whatever the hell it is, but it's holding a handbag. So this is the Indonesia pillar again, the stela. Really close to where Gunung Padang is. So perhaps there's a connection there. This is what it looks like a little bit more closely. An eagle at the top. Another bird of prey above a man meditating with a very Sumerian looking headdress. And I think that's wheat that they're planting or gathering, harvesting. But you have to see the handbag right there, right next to the monk. And these weird harp things or abacuses. Maybe a priest beside him. Somebody kneeling. I fucking have no idea what this means, and no one else does either. Here's some more of the pine cone bags that I just made an image of, depicting all the different times it's shown holding a pine cone as well as the handbag, and the amount of times it's a winged being that's doing this. Here we have an Egyptian painting of them planting seeds in a field. You can see him dropping seeds out of the handbag. This could just be a fucking coincidence, but I figured I'd throw it in there. So that Indonesian pillar, the image depicts a tugu or sanggar pillar, which is typically found in Java. These pillars are associated with Hindu-Buddhist architecture. At the top, there's a depiction of a Garuda or a phoenix or a peacock or perhaps even just a regular rooster. No one knows what these fucking pillars mean, but it's very important that it's a pillar. And here, I was just searching on Google and I found this. I thought it was funny. There's a jewel-encrusted egg of Catherine the Great on the last episode of Legends of the Hidden Temple, the 120th episode. A jewel-encrusted egg of Catherine the Great. Why is that important? Why a jewel-encrusted egg? See, I believe, according to Masonic text, that they prepared for the flood. They thought that the world was going to be destroyed by a fire or a flood. So they made two pillars. And I believe more than two pillars, but two are written about. One made of bronze, the other one made of stone. And they put all of their information written on the side of this pillar. Basically use it as a library that would survive the flood or the fire. At the top of the pillar, they placed an egg. This is where we get the idea of an Orphic egg from. In the Anatolian Orphic tradition, the egg is all wisdom. It's the rebirth of man is born in the Orphic egg, or Phanes. The egg is a way to preserve the information and to retrieve it and restore it from after the flood. The egg would be hollow and it would have documents inside of it. Whenever the water rose to the top of the pillar, it would gently pick up the egg and the egg would float. In order to retrieve it, men going around on boats, because they were building boats at the time, would send out birds to, from a great distance, look for this egg. And then they were trained to retrieve it. This is why people created the crow's nest in a ship. This is actually the first way that humans navigated before we had the ability to navigate. We would create these little shallow pools in the middle of the ocean between, fairly shallow waters. These pools, whenever the tide came in, they'd fill up with fish because you'd bait these pools. And then whenever the tide went out, the pools would separate from the rest of the ocean and you'd leave a whole pool full of wiggling, yummy fish. And you'd have a bird at the top of your ship and the bird would start flying towards the pool because they could see all the fish splashing around. So they'd use a sea hawk of some kind or a crow. That's why we have a crow's nest at the top of a boat. This was originally used for birds themselves because the birds were our navigators. We would just follow the fucking bird on the ship to the pool. So you can only do this in areas where you pre-planned and built these tidal pools, but birds were used for navigation since before the fucking flood. I truly believe this. And these people were training these birds to go gather these eggs. These eggs would be full with all the knowledge and riches of the pre-flood civilization. A jewel-encrusted egg, some could say. That's why we have this idea of Fabergé eggs and why they're so important and why they're so valuable and why people spend so much time and effort and knowledge making these Fabergé eggs. It represents the egg from the top of the pillar. This is why the Masons revere Joachim and Boaz. This is why there's two pillars at the front of the Jewish temple. That's why there's two pillars on the Kalisa temple in the Ellora temple complex in India. That's why there's always fucking two pillars. They represent the two pillars that were made. In the Masonic tradition, they say it was made by Enoch. Enoch actually made these pillars to preserve information. And there was supposed to be a secret third pillar that was underground that had even more valuable spiritual information and the true name of God carved on it, according to the Masons. I don't know if that's the case. It was supposed to be a white pillar. And just in case there was a fire, since they didn't want their egg to burn up, they would put a golden pyramidion, a golden bin on top. So it looked almost like an obelisk from a distance. It would be a straight line for the pillar, and then at the top you'd have a triangle, so it would look like an obelisk, right? Just like the one we have in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument. Well, in case there was a fire, they wanted to cover the egg so it didn't burn up, so they put metal on top of it. Of course, they probably made it out of something that could easily float if in fact the flood happened. But the egg would become detached from the top of the pillar, and the bin or pyramidion, whatever you want to call it, would float off, which would also have information carved into it, because they were just trying to preserve everything they could using the system of pillars and eggs, and retrieving these eggs with birds. That's why birds are always presented on the handbags. So they made this into a game. They made this into a sporting contest. That's what I believe Göbekli Tepe was originally used for. It was the meetup place for after they were collecting all this information. I believe there were hundreds of pillars all over the fucking planet. And these pillars had information from every local civilization. They would put whatever information they wanted to store, like a time capsule, onto these pillars. And then you'd have the survivors going around in boats collecting all this information to rebuild society from the ashes, or in this case, from the mud. They turned it into a game. People who were collecting these eggs were treated as champions, as heroes, saviors of civilization. And a lot of information was completely lost, because the thing that caused the flood was a fire, was a asteroid coming in from outer space, impacting the Greenland ice shelf, and the 2 miles of ice on top of North America was almost instantly turned into water, and a series of floods happened, and cataclysms, probably lots of volcanoes were going off, but this created the Younger Dryas, the extinction event that killed off so many of the megafauna from all over the world. Basically, only Africa was spared. So we knew this was happening, whether it was through telescopic evidence of something we could see in the night sky and we knew it was coming, or we were tipped off, which, apparently Enki did that with Uptapishtim, who was basically the equivalent of Noah. There's different stories, and I think we're looking at a game of telephone where the idea gets warped through time and through the passing of person to person. And since language was wiped clean almost, maybe it's preserved somewhere, and maybe the secret libraries of a white brotherhood somewhere, or dark cabal, who knows. But the Masonic institution was designed to preserve this type of information through symbolism. And one of the most important symbols is the handbag. Why a handbag? Because as they were going around collecting these Orphic eggs of wisdom, they were putting them in bags and then taking the bags back to civilization, or the new civilization that was being born from the mud at Göbekli Tepe, where they were compiling the eggs and trying to rebuild, trying to scrape whatever they could from the bottom of this extinction barrel. So yes, what was inside of the basket, the bag? Easter eggs, Ishtar eggs. That's my thought. I don't know if it's accurate at all. I'm pulling from a lot of different sources, and I've had crazy enough visions about this. Hell, before I knew anything about this shit at all, I had a competition where it written in my first book. At the end of my first book, I had a competition where people like falconers use falcons for a new sport that I invented, but I took it out because I thought it sounded too much like Quidditch from Harry Potter. But it was my subconscious trying to tell me what this all means. The boats, the birds, the eggs, and the baskets. Birds, baskets, and boats. I don't know if I'm right, but yeah, just wanted to share that with you and show you how much of the world has this symbol, and for so long, since the very end of the flood is when the first symbol appears, at the top of Pillar 23. And Göbekli Tepe. I don't know, I thought it was cool. Just wanted to share. Love you guys. Have a great night.